To the game day between the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals here on 104.5 The Zone. You want to jump in on the conversation? You can do that. 615-737-1045. That's the number. 615-737-1045. That's how you can get involved with the proceedings. Today is a big day yesterday. And by the way, before we get into everything from Derrick Henry, because you're going to hear from him, we're going to play you a lot of the audio from his press conference yesterday. Lucas Panzica, by the way, back in Network Control Studios. We got Kirby Allen Kirby. We got Will Bowling. We got Christian Capozzi. I hope I said that last name right. Thank you, Christian. So we got a whole squad out here on site at Scoreboard Bar and Grill, by the way, where you should come for the best barbecue, the best hot chicken, the best ribs, right out here by Opryland, right across the street from the Opryland Hotel. Can't miss it. Scoreboard Bar and Grill. It's a Nashville tradition. You need to come have lunch out here, catch the game as well. Lucas is back in the studio. Before we get into the Derrick Henry audio, Lucas, I feel that we must address something. What do you think was the bigger deal, the bigger talking point out of practice yesterday? What Derrick Henry said at his press conference, or what the hell happened to me on the internet?
Well, the bigger deal was Derrick Henry speaking. There's no question about that.
Are you sure? I don't know.
But the tracksuit thing gained more social media traction, which is interesting. What you were wearing at practice is not a bigger deal than Derrick Henry speaking for the first time since before Halloween.
Are we certain?
I'm 99.99% certain.
Right.
But yes, the tracksuit did get more traction on Twitter.
All right, I'll take your word for it. We'll get it. Kirby Allen Kirby is on site. Kirby is with me every game day at Nissan Stadium when we do the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff, and he always has something to say about my attire. So we'll get outfit analysis from Kirby Allen Kirby later in the show. By the way, Mina Kimes going to be here. We got Steve Layman from News Channel 5. We're going to be talking Titans and Bengals all day long. But we got to start with Derrick Henry, naturally, who for the first time since October 28th met with the media. That's the last time. This is the crazy thing about Derrick. Like, the dude just shut it down. This is one of the biggest superstars in the NFL across the National Football League, and you haven't seen anything on social media. You haven't seen any kind of comments, public or private, that have been out there in the news cycle. You've had Mike Vrabel telling you, yeah, he's rehabbing today. Look fine today. And it's about, 3 to 4 word answers every time you ask Vrabel about it under certain circumstances. But Derrick Henry, for the first time since October 28th, spoke to the media, and it was an interesting situation because, like, for the first time in a long time, a Titans practice felt normal. Derrick Henry meeting with the media for the first time gave you as good an indication as you've had that Derrick Henry is going to be available, is going to play against the Cincinnati Bengals, because they don't put just any player who, by the way, is still on IR out there for, us vultures to poke and prod at him. And when Derrick Henry spoke yesterday, he gave a couple of answers that I thought were revelatory. Derrick's never going to go expand in too much detail. He's never really going to talk about himself too much because it's just not what he's comfortable doing. But when Derrick Henry spoke with us yesterday, he was asked a question, and it was from Ben Arthur of the Tennessean, about, how he's had to go through this rehab process and the toughest part of the rehab process and what's kind of helped him get through it. This was Derrick Henry with us at the podium.
I love football. It's all I've done since I was 5 years old, and, it's what I fell in love with. And, it's just the first time something like this has happened. And, just adversity, and you just got to overcome it. And thankful for the trainers, my girlfriend who was driving me here 5 weeks straight when I couldn't drive, and everybody that supported me. Titans fans wrote get well letters. I definitely appreciate that, and just having faith in the man above, and just continue to rehab, continue to get healthy, and being able to have this opportunity right here.
Pretty much rolling through until your question here.
for the first several years. The fact that this injury has something to do with wear and tear a little bit too, is that cause for concern looking forward in terms of the the amount of carries and so forth and the load that you can deal with going forward?
No, I don't think you worry about that. I mean, it's football. It's a game of injuries. Injuries happen, and you just gotta keep pushing forward. And everything happens for a reason. I don't try to get into all the what ifs and this and that and this. Just focus on the right now and appreciate the journey, and that's all I can do.
Like you can pick between your feet right now in terms of cutting right, cutting left, planting. How close are you to the same on each side?
I feel good. I mean, I have a big steel plate on my foot. That's only different from the left foot to the right. But I mean, I feel good. Just I haven't did anything like 2.5 months, so just getting back out there, getting acclimated to everything, and get back to being me.
You think you can kind of pick up where you left off? I mean, you haven't played the preseason a lot, so I know people talk about rust. Do you feel like you can kind of step back in and be the Derrick you were at the start of the season?
Well, I mean, it all starts out here in the practice field, and doing everything I can to be ready for Saturday, and that's where it starts. Just trying to work hard, trying to do the best I can to be the best player I can be for this team, and try to contribute as best as I can. But the work starts out here like it always does.
How impressed have you been with the job that they've been able to do without you, Derrick, to get to this point, to get the number 1 seed?
Oh, I was definitely the biggest cheerleader. It was fun watching them. While I missed playing with them, but did a great job. Guys stepped in, guys who were hungry did a great job running the ball, and overall as a team they did a great job as well. And for us to have number 1 seed, get a bye week, and then come into the division round against a good opponent. That's Titans running back Derrick Henry meeting with the media for the first time since October 28th, prior to sustaining that foot injury in Week 8 against the Indianapolis Colts and being shut down for the remainder of the regular season. But now he's back, and it's crazy because, Ben's first question there about the toughest part of the rehab process and what helped him get through, I think that's the first time that Derrick Henry in his career has had legitimate adversity. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in just a second. 615-737-1045. That's the number. That's how you jump in on the conversation. We're live here from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. By the way, you should come have lunch, hang out. We're going to be out here today and tomorrow. And this is where, if you're not going to the Titans game, this is where you should be watching football. But the question that I want to ask you is this. Derrick Henry's meeting with the media. It's as good as any indication other than Mike Vrabel saying so that this man is going to play on Saturday. Because of that, and because of what you just heard from Derrick, how many carries would you give him against the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday? 615-737-1045. That's the number. We'll get your phone calls on this. I'll tell you what I mean by the first time that Derrick Henry has had to go through legitimate adversity in his career in just a second. But I got to tell you, this is the place where we're at right now, Scoreboard Bar and Grill. This is the place where you need to be watching the Tennessee Titans now that they're back in the playoffs. 3:30 Central Time kickoff. They're going to have the Packers game on right after that. It's a great place to watch the games here at Scoreboard. They've also got live music all day and night. They've got fresh shipped oysters. They've got fantastic cocktails, incredible ribs, and super, super good hot chicken. Kirby Allen was telling me that I need to try some of the hot chicken later. Apparently, we're going to have a bit of an experiment to see how well I can do a solo radio show after eating hot chicken. I don't know what the results of that are going to be. Stick around. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome back on 104.5 The Zone, live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill, the place where you should be watching playoff football this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Check it out. Fantastic ribs, great hot chicken. Kirby Allen Kirby is excited to try out the hot chicken experiment with me on air. We're going to save that for later on in the show. By the way, I got Titans tickets to give out today. That's exciting. I'm going to tell you how you can win the Titans tickets throughout the course of the day. 615-737-1045 is the number. In fact, that's funny. I just got a text from somebody who actually did some work in my house. This is laugh out loud funny. I literally just got this text message from the guy who mounted the TVs in my house. When do I call in the radio to get some Titans tickets? Look at that. Trying to get some insider trading. Stick around. I'll tell you. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about Derrick Henry. And the question that I asked you is this. How many carries would you give him on Saturday, rather? How many carries would you give him against the Cincinnati Bengals? Because Derrick, speaking with the media yesterday, you heard from him earlier in the show. You'll hear from him later on. And we'll certainly talk about this with Mina Kimes of NFL Live on ESPN at 11:30. But how many carries would you give Derrick Henry? Are you concerned at all about basically the idea of load management? Because you've had to do it for your star players, by the way, all season long, at least on the offensive side of the football. Now, each situation is different, from Julio Jones to A.J. Brown to Derrick Henry. Really, even Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold, the entirety of that offensive line at times. What I'll tell you is that when Greg Cosell and myself, we talked about this yesterday on the Install podcast, the new episode out on Wednesday, it felt like the place that we absolutely had to start because we know what the Titans offense is going to do. We know that they're going to run the damn ball. The hat says so, right? They're very much married to that philosophy. And by the way, that's fine. That works for them. What the Titans are going to do with Derrick Henry, given the fact that they've been able to run the damn ball with Deontay Foreman, with Dontrell Hilliard, should it differ at all, given that this is his first game back in the better part of 2 months? And this is what Greg Cosell had to say.
We do have to start there because basically we know what let me answer it this way. This is a team with a clearly defined identity on both sides of the ball. I think they know what they are, they know who they are, and they know the way they want to play and have to play to be successful. And the question is, does the playoff game play out that way so they can stick to what they are? And since you mentioned Henry, we know Henry will be back. He's not going to be back to get 6 carries, Buck. He's going to be the foundation of what they do offensively. You know, maybe he sits out a series here and there, but it's not as if he's going to be a spot player. So the offense will run through Henry. The question becomes, will it run through Henry, and what will be the personnel packages with Henry as the I back? Because he's an I back. He's not a shotgun back. He's an I back. So will they go with 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, fullback? Will they go with 11 personnel? How will they feel the Bengals are most susceptible to the run?
You got a DraftKings next.
The Bengals ultimately, when they tend to play against base offensive personnel, what the Bengals have done a good part of this year, not all the time, but a good part of this year will line up with what's essentially a 5-2 front. 5 defensive linemen across, which widens the front, and 2 stacked linebackers in Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, who are both good players, by the way. So will they do that? Last week was interesting because against the Raiders, when the Raiders went with their base offense, and the Raiders do a lot of base offense, for the most part, the Bengals played in nickel with Mike Hilton, the slot corner. He's a very good slot corner, but he's about 5'9" and 180 pounds. Right, and I would be surprised if that's the way they chose to play against Derrick Henry and the base offense run game. I think you need big people, and I think you'll see that 5-man front with 2 stacked linebackers.
And unfortunately for Cincinnati, Larry Ogunjobi is not going to play in this game.
That's a big loss because he's a really stout interior run defender.
Yeah, we'll see what the status of Trey Hendrickson is as well, who missed the rest of that game with a concussion, but was back at practice yesterday.
Right. It's my understanding from speaking to someone today that it's trending upward for sure.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know till he's cleared through the protocol, but it's trending upward.
Greg Cosell, look at Greg dropping a little insider knowledge. Sources say, according to Greg Cosell, that things are trending upwards for Trey Hendrickson, the stud edge defender for the Cincinnati Bengals. But Greg's analysis stands, right? Derrick Henry's not coming back for the Tennessee Titans to get 6 or 7 less than 10 carries. If you put him out there, it's full go. 615-737-1045. How would you handle the Derrick Henry situation? We go to Rich, who's in Hendersonville, up first this morning on 1045 The Zone, live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. What's up, Rich?
Good morning. I was listening a day or so ago, and you guys were talking about what should be the theme song to bring King Henry back on the field. Got it for you. Run DMC, King of Rock. I mean, we do call the football the Rock, and he is the king.
Okay.
So I cannot think of a better one. You might want to play a little sample of it and let the viewers vote on it.
Lucas, you want to play a sample of the song Rich just suggested? I think he was listening to a different show, but that's fine. I think it's a good conversation. That sounds like a Brent Doherty topic, if I'm being honest. That sounds like a 3HL topic. That doesn't mean it's a bad topic. That means that it just wasn't us. But that's okay.
What was the song? King of what?
King of Rock by Run DMC.
Sounds right.
Thank you for listening to the show. Maybe we'll get a little sample of that. Lucas, you're such a jerk. 615-737-1045. Let me know if you have a sample. In the meantime, we'll go to Josh in Murfreesboro, who's up next on 1045 The Zone. Hello, Josh.
Yes, sir. I think we give Henry as many carries as it takes. Realistically, I say he gets 15 to 20 touches, but I would like to see him get as many as it takes.
I mean, as many as it takes is what the Derrick Henry formula is, right? And it's really who's ever in the backfield. Like, it's as many carries as you need to get Deontay Foreman to make sure that the Titans handle their business. The offense is always predicated first and foremost off the run, the play-action pass. We'll get into this more pregame because I don't want to give the whole podcast away with Cosell, because we talked about basically how the Titans should attack the Bengals and what the Bengals will try and do to the Titans on offense from a standpoint of how they'll attack Shane Bowen's defense. But with Derrick Henry, for him, it's about pain tolerance. Now, what we've seen from Derrick is a situation, I don't know if you can trust him as far as his pain tolerance is concerned. Now, that sounds like a ridiculous thing for somebody like me to say who has I have no idea what Derrick Henry's feeling in his foot. All I'm saying is they let him make a decision, or they let him have a say, basically, in Indianapolis as to whether he should keep playing on that broken foot or not. That was half a quarter in to the Indianapolis Colts game. And what happened in that is that Derrick Henry, after being told that he had potentially a foot fracture, was like, yeah, I'll keep going. Now, that may not have been the most effective strategy for them at the time, but Derrick Henry, as far as his pain tolerance is concerned, he's not going to be somebody who's going to want to take the foot off the gas that way, especially not with the kind of implications that this game has. Let's go to Mike, who's in Kentucky, wants to weigh in on Derrick Henry. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. How's it going? First and foremost, tighten up. I think Derrick Henry is going to get 22 carries minimum. I think he's going to carry us. I think we've been given a blessing here with him coming up fresh. So I think it's not even going to be a game for Cincinnati. I feel sorry for those fans. But he's going to get 22 carries minimum. And he's going to carry us into Buffalo, or when Buffalo comes to town, he's going to carry us and then to the Super Bowl. So my bet's 22 carries minimum. Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the betting line looks like, what the prop bet for Derrick Henry number of carries looks like on DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll probably look that up during our next break here. But it's going to be January 22nd, 2022, 22 years since the Titans first made the Super Bowl against the St. Louis Rams. And Derrick Henry, number 22, is going to make his debut with basically the zodiacs aligning. And so 22 carries would seem a bit poetic. But here's the thing. Like, if Derrick gets volume carries, it means one of two things. One, it means they're in control of the game. Because more often than not, this team is built to get the lead and then basically bleed you out with the way that they are able to over and over and over again run the football. And they've done that with D'Onta Foreman. They've done that with Dontrell Hilliard. They've used Jeremy McNichols in certain spots. He's been waived, but back on the practice squad. And Derrick Henry is basically the reason why that formula works, because everything has been built around Derrick in that way. It was pretty interesting to hear from him yesterday, because he don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Derrick, we're basically asking him, questions that he's been prepared for, questions that he knows he's going to get. And it's not like Derrick Henry is used or not unaccustomed to playing without game reps. I mean, when's the last time you've seen Derrick Henry play in a preseason game? It's been quite some time. So to question, the idea of rust, is there going to be a certain feel that he needs to get back for the game? Is there going to be certain elements of that he needs to kind of adjust to in real time? Of course. It's completely natural. But for the question to be about rust and load management with Derrick Henry, I think completely ignores who this guy has been the rest of his career. What you got for me, Lucas?
There's nothing on BetMGM right now as far as player props and how many carries Derrick Henry will get. It's just 16.5 for Joe Mixon. That's the only option. So Vegas has no idea.
Well, I mean, and in fairness, Vegas doesn't know officially if he's active yet. So I don't think responsibly, and that makes a lot of sense, responsibly, they probably can't give out prop bets on players who are This is why Titans PR is probably shaking a fist at the sky today, because they made a player on IR available to us for the first time ever. That's without precedent. And now it's all we're going to do to not annoy them every time one of their star players goes on IR but won't meet with the media because of it. 615-737-1045. We're broadcasting live at Scoreboard Bar and Grill today and tomorrow, and we got Gary in Murfreesboro up next. What's up, Gary?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well, thank you.
All right. Dude brought up the subject about the intro music for Derrick Henry. I have one.
Okay.
You guys haven't heard it yet. It's No Chances by 21 Pilots. Would be an ideal song. Look it up, and I bet you would agree.
Okay. Well, we'll see. So, Lucas, I hope you're taking notes, because now we're going to have to do this for, like, bump music coming back in from commercial breaks. So you got that one down?
Yeah, so we'll come back to King of Rock next break, and then we'll do No Chances after that.
Okay. So, listen, this is why Brent Doherty is a genius topic maker, because now he's taken over our show entirely. This is the 3HL effect. It's like Ron Slay is not in the building, but he's actually in the building because they've already taken over our entire show. Daryl in Nashville is up next on Derrick Henry. What's up, Daryl?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Well, I was just coming in on the question where you asked how many carries should Derrick Henry got.
Yes,
the
sir.
only thing I'm saying is, if they're talking about Derrick Henry's ready, yeah, he hasn't played, for about 10 weeks since week 8. But when we're in the off season, he hadn't played it. He just practiced, but they put him in there full strength. So the only thing I'm saying is, we talking about Foreman, which is a good running back, but if the game plan is Henry, why are they going into the game with question marks? Because they only have one game left. I don't want Nashville waking up Sunday talking about why we didn't do this when they go into the game with question marks and come out with an L. So I'm going to sit back and listen to the comments, because really, to me, if I was a Titan fan, I would put Derrick Henry in there and just run him like they did to win games. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to hear what you got to say.
Well, yeah, Daryl, that's the plan. I mean, you're not saying anything controversial there. That's what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get bent out of shape because D'Onta Foreman has been good for you. No, D'Onta Foreman immediately takes a back seat as soon as you put Derrick Henry back in the lineup. And it's an interesting question. I got a message on Instagram the other day when I was doing my Titans Q&A on the A to Z Sports Instagram story about is there any chance that the Titans can keep D'Onta Foreman, into the future because he's been a stud for him. And frankly, so is Dontrell Hilliard. Like both of those dudes have settled down really, really nicely within this offense. And it helps that the blocking in front of them has gotten better, and it helps that the offensive line has been healthier. But for D'Onta Foreman, I mean, this dude has, if he's okay with being in a reserve role here, he's got a job here. I think they would favor the approach that he has brought to his job over somebody like Darrington Evans, who has been an absolute non-factor for this football team. And I understand that injuries are a big part of that for Darrington Evans, but it's also about a mindset. You've heard Mike Vrabel talk about this a million times, how the reason that they've helped survive this season using 91 different players, 91 different dudes dressing for this football team. The reason that they've survived is because the guys they've pulled off the street, literally off the couch, in the case of D'Onta Foreman. These guys know what it's like to be unemployed as NFL players. And it's not something they want to go back to being. Buster Screen, D'Onta Foreman, Dontrell Hilliard. I mean, we could go through the list of all the different players that have been brought in to try and keep this thing afloat. And how, I mean, Vrabel described them as it's like taking in a stray cat, which hit me hard particularly because I thought it made me think, one, Mike Vrabel, is Mike a cat dad? There's no way. I refuse to believe it. But he talked about taking in, these players as basically stray animals and how they reward you after the fact because they know what it's like to be on the outs as far as the NFL is concerned. And for guys who can still produce and you can still give an NFL team something, that's not a feeling that you want to go back to. Those guys are worth keeping around in that regard. But now that Derrick's back, everything else takes a back seat. The offense starts and ends with Derrick Henry.
Have your cats rewarded you in the way that D'Onta Foreman has rewarded Mike Vrabel?
Are you kidding me? I'm losing money by the day on these things. They live better than I do. It's terrible. The only thing I get is they get up in the window in the morning and they act like they're securing the perimeter before I have to leave for work. But I honestly think they're rooting for the Bengals. I think they may be sleeper cells in my own home. 615-737-1045. Joe is in Nashville. Up next, we're broadcasting live here on 1045 The Zone from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. What's up, Joe?
Hey, which I think we got a whole bunch of people ready just to think they could smack Henry for the first time because they ain't the spirit of them and been lazy. I think we ought to light him up, get ready to go, and they're going to rush the line and just throw it to AJ and take it to the house on the first play.
Well, listen, because that's another thing that Cosell and I, thank you for the call, Joe. 615-737-1045 is the number. Now we've got people taking over the Zone TV chat, giving us song recommendations for Derrick Henry. Zay615 says Starlito, Hot Chicken for the Derrick Henry entrance song. I like that. But to the point about the touchdown pass, dialing up a touchdown pass on the first play of the Titans, the first offensive series for the Titans, Todd Downing's play calling is going to be scrutinized heavily in this game by everybody, right? By, armchair quarterbacks, by people like me sitting in the press box who have no concept of what it is to call an NFL game, just media vultures, and we're all going to be after him, right? If one little thing looks different than we think it should. And, of course, that's the easiest part of our job is to criticize retroactively. But what I'll tell you is that Todd Downing is as predictable of a first down play caller as any in the NFL right now. And again, a lot of that's built and based off personnel. But it's also why the Titans running game hasn't been necessarily efficient this year. And in fact, I've told you this before. I think we talked about this earlier in the week. They're 24th in the regular season as far as rushing play efficiency. The average rushing play efficiency for an NFL team. They're 24th in the league out of 32 teams. It's not like they've been overwhelmingly great because those first down runs are coming over and over and over again. And every once in a while, Todd will switch things up, like in Pittsburgh, when he had that first play touchdown pass dialed up for Julio Jones, and instead of being a 70-yard touchdown to Julio, it ended up in an 8-yard sack because Dontrell Hilliard was new to the team and didn't pick up the protection adequately. You have to take each play on a play-by-play basis rather than just going crazy about the whole. But when we come back, we're going to let Kirby Allen go crazy. It's time for an outfit analysis segment with Kirby Allen. Kirby, my clothing choices yesterday came under heavy scrutiny. Now, this is all over social media. It's turned into a meme. Our friends down in Knoxville, our buddy Grit Knox, who I think has done some work for Barstool Sports. He's made me a meme. I apparently went to Dolly World with his family. I was apparently, on the on the green with John Daly and his
that was so good.
Woman.
The Dollywood was so good.
While the streaker was running behind us. Yeah, the Dollywood picture with him and his family was deeply uncomfortable.
Like a grumpy teenager on a family road trip.
You know why? Because that's what I've been all my life. Kirby Allen, Kirby's outfit analysis coming up next, live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill.
Got DraftKings.
Okay. All right.
You're up.
What do we think? Should this be Derrick Henry's intro music?
I dig it.
You like it? What's the name of the song again?
It's King of Rock, Run DMC.
Give me a little louder. Really, I don't know if it's Derrick's aesthetic. Here's the thing. Like, I don't know that this is, if you ask Derrick whether this worked for him, I don't know that he would say yes. Now, I'm not saying that it's outright bad. I'm not dismissing the submission by any stretch of the imagination. But a hat tip to 3HL, who I guess has had the topic this week of what should Derrick Henry's intro music be. We're going to go to Kirby Allen here in just a second because we have some outfit analysis to do. The memes are flying fast and furiously on the internet as we broadcast live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Make sure you come check them out for the games this weekend. Come check them out for their food, their bar fare as well. It's a fantastic place. It is a Nashville staple, Scoreboard Bar and Grill out here by the Opryland Hotel. All right, let's go to Tracy in Nashville, who's up next on 104.5 The Zone before we go to Kirby Allen. Kirby. What's up, Tracy?
Man, I just wanted to speak on the Todd Downing thing. The reason why a lot of people are scrutinizing him is because really and truly, he's cost us a couple games. And the reason I say that is he's not like Arthur Smith was. You know, Arthur Smith would sit back and he would put in a couple plays at a time. He would plan ahead for his next play. I don't see Todd Downing doing that. I see him calling play-by-play. He cost us the Pittsburgh game. He almost cost us the Houston game. That's not scoring any points in the third quarter. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. There's a reason this guy wasn't in Oakland but a minute coordinating, okay? And I really just feel like Raybill has put his fingerprint all over this defense. I wish he would step up and find somebody that can put their fingerprint on that offense because this is a very, very good team. And they are a lot better than they have shown. That's why we don't get the attention, which is fine with me. We don't need the attention.
I appreciate the call, Tracy. Lucas, have we gotten a better call walk-off than if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong? That's a tough one to top. Tracy, respectfully, I have no idea how you would have any concept, and maybe you do. Maybe you have some kind of inside connection to Todd Downing, but, like, I don't know how, or Arthur Smith for that matter. I don't know how you would have any legitimate way to justify your analysis of Arthur Smith calls plays or plans ahead differently than Todd Downing does. Like, I don't have any concept of how Todd Downing calls his plays on game day other than to watch him keeping the play sheet over his mouth while he calls the plays on the television copy. Like, we have no idea. So I don't think that's fair analysis. And as far as what's cost you games, no, Tracy, play calling isn't it. Now, am I saying the play calling has been perfect? No. Don't be ridiculous. Nothing has been perfect this season. Football seasons are very rarely perfect. But what I'll tell you is the turnover is the reason you lose these damn games. Not just because Todd Downing made an ill-advised call on or called let's say a 3rd and 17 surrender draw play. Like, those drive me crazy when you're just setting it up to punt, and I understand you're playing field position, blah, blah, blah. They still make me nuts. What I'll say to you is that the turnover avalanches that you have had in these games, 5 against the Houston Texans, 4 against the New England Patriots, 4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's unacceptable. Start first and foremost there if you're looking for a lowest common denominator about what's gone wrong for the Titans this year. The play calling, that's just not it. Now, let's find out what went wrong for me at practice yesterday. Let's bring in the legend, the icon, the real star of the show anytime that I'm out on location, as we are today at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Let us welcome in Kirby Allen, who joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Kirby, your microphone's not on. It's your entire job.
That's beautiful. It's
your entire job.
If I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong.
You were wrong.
Oh, I was. I was mute.
Oh, my God.
So I've seen the photograph.
All right. So first, let me set the scene.
Sure.
I like the comfy tracksuits. I wear them to do the radio show all the time. I went to Titans practice yesterday. There was some inclement weather. And I wore the tracksuit. It was, I would say, somewhere between sand and flesh colored. Matching tracksuit, top, bottoms. wore it out to practice. Photographs were taken. They went viral is probably too strong a term, but I'm being made into a meme on the internet. Now me and Usher at the strip club are the only one who have our own currency based on how the internet has doled this thing out. Kirby Allen, Kirby, give me your outfit analysis of what I wore to Titans practice yesterday.
I'm going to take a butterscotch as far as the color.
Butterscotch. I like that.
And, yeah, that's not a public look that I would have gone with.
No, you'd look terrible.
I would have looked practical in clothes, appropriately designed for the weather.
Yes.
I wouldn't have gone, you know what? I've got this thing that looks like a warm-up thing I would wear around the house, lounge wear.
I look great.
I would not have left the house like that. And you look miserably cold.
It was not
with the hood
pleasant.
and the whole 9 yards, which says, okay, you're an adult male. Do you not have a coat that is thicker than a windbreaker? You got to look at the head. You live down here where the weather's a little iffy. You got to have one for every season and one for that occasional day like yesterday.
I have those clothes, Kirby. It's just
You
I
weren't
was
wearing them.
No. Well, I didn't look at the forecast. In fact, when somebody asked me for a weather update for what the conditions were going to be like at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, I read them the Weather Channel forecast, except it was set to Pittsburgh because I had not bothered to see my updated location.
Well, for
yet.
Christmas next year, you're getting an Old Farmer's Almanac.
A what?
An Old Farmer's Almanac. You can just follow that. It'll give you all your weather forecasts.
What does that even mean?
It's a book. It has pages. You'll have to physically turn them.
No, I know.
But
doing a bit.
It tells you when to plant turnips, all those kinds of things. The important stuff.
Big turnip guy, Kirby.
Not really. But, turnip and that outfit you went with yesterday?
Yeah.
Same boat.
Now, listen, here's what I'll say. The quality of the photograph.
Brilliant.
Taken by Titans team photographer Donald Page, an artist in the craft, because he's out there taking these incredible photos of Derrick Henry. And then he sends a couple of them to me yesterday of me looking like, one, I'm going to sell you a carton of cigarettes for $1, like I'm reselling you cigarettes, Kirby, which would probably be a deal that would interest you.
I would think more of like watches with iridescent dials out of the trunk of a car. But
perhaps a new scent, perhaps new cologne at a mall kiosk.
Yeah.
Maybe for you.
Just dusting people as they go by.
Well, not that kind of dusting, Kirby. Kirby Allen, Kirby's outfit analysis. If you listen to the League Company Countdown to Kickoff on Saturday when we get things rolling, Will Bowling will start our coverage at 11 a.m., by the way. We will have more live and local coverage for you outside of Nissan Stadium. You will hear more Kirby Allen, Kirby outfit analysis on Saturday because, Kirby, I'm going to blow your mind on Saturday.
That meme, the two memes, though.
Oh, there's more than two, bud.
Well, Will showed me two. And, I mean, that's calendar worth.
What was your favorite? Because we're doing an audio
the
bit.
John Daly thing. I mean, the dollar bill, you kind of look like the guy from Friends.
Ross
with a beard, who's been told yet again some other girls dumped him. But
hey, you ease up back there, Lucas.
But the two that I saw was the Dolly World, and the John Daly. Both of those should be on a calendar.
I took a whole trip to Dolly World. I've never been.
You could do that. We should put Dollywood, whatever. We should put a 12 meme calendar together on Buck Reising.
This is why Kirby's an evil genius. When we come back, we're going to talk about Joe Burrow and how he's going to attack the Tennessee Titans. Mina Kimes of ESPN is going to join us to do some X's and O's analysis at 11:30. We're live at Scoreboard Bar and Grill, by the way. Come out, hang out, have lunch. Their food is exceptional, and their atmosphere for watching football is even better. You can do that throughout the course of today, and tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting live out here. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2, welcome in. Live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Buck Reising with you on 104.5 The Zone. We're broadcasting live here until 1 o'clock. We're out here the next 2 days. In fact, if you go to the 104.5 The Zone Twitter account, you can see exactly the latest meme going around that Christian Capozzi has put out on our social media accounts from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Scoreboard made the meme. Rightfully so. Fantastic food out here. We're getting ready to sample some hot chicken later on in the show, and I'm going to give you a full review. Now, it's going to be interesting to see whether the hot chicken incapacitates me to do the remainder of the show, but you'll have to stick around. Mina Kimes of ESPN, she's going to be here at 11:30. We are going to give away some Titans tickets at 12:15 today, so make sure that you're listening for how to do that. I got a pair of Titans and Bengals tickets for you this Saturday at Nissan Stadium for the AFC Divisional Showdown. 615-737-1045. That's how you jump in on the conversation that we're having. We're going to have a conversation about Joe Burrow and how he's going to attack this Tennessee Titans defense here in just a second. But let's go back to the phones quickly. We got Dino in LaFontaine wants to weigh in on this Thursday. What you got for me, Dino?
Buck, hey, did I actually get to talk to the real Lucas Panzica?
Yeah, I mean, I assume if Lucas, unless you're pawning off the call screening duties back there.
He answered the phone. Wow, man, an Italian boy in the South. I always love chatting with those guys.
Yeah, well, he's Italian in the way that he eats. I don't know how much more to associate his ancestry with. But anyway, what you got for me, Dino?
Look, what I got is my brother used to sing for the rock band Kansas.
Okay.
And we wrote a song. It was a hit song called "Fight Fire with Fire," and that is the ultimate flamehead anthem that needs to be cranked.
Fight fire with fire. All right, Lucas, you're keeping track of these, right? That's a big deal. That's a hell of a name drop. Brother used to be in the band Kansas.
I think Mickey Ryan, if he's listening, just might have swerved his car.
I think that okay. So we'll come back into one of the next segments with "Fight Fire with Fire" from Kansas. Derrick Henry's intro song, 3HL, has completely overtaken our show content today with the Derrick Henry intro music. We're fielding suggestions both on the phone lines and in the Zone TV chat, where you can watch the show live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch if you want. But in the meantime, let's talk about Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow is one of the best young quarterbacks in football right now. He's in the Elite Eight in only his second year in the NFL. He has taken the lowly Cincinnati Bengals from a laughingstock, a 4-11 team, or excuse me, a 4-11-1 team in his rookie year, to now 10-7, 11-7 if you're counting their wild card win. They've won the AFC North, and he's done it in only a season after rebounding from a torn ACL and MCL with a wretched offensive line in front of him. Joe Burrow's not doing this alone. There's a lot of great pieces on this Bengals team that are going to be great for years to come. And not just winning the first playoff game in this franchise, for this franchise in 31 years. 31 years, which is an accomplishment unto itself, winning the division as well. But now he's coming into your house. He's going to try and take all your stuff. Now, we had Dave Lapham, who is the Bengals radio version of Coach Dave McGinnis. Dave Lapham, who played on those Bengals Super Bowl teams against the San Francisco 49ers back in the 80s. Longtime offensive lineman. He's been with their radio team for quite some time as well. And when Dave Lapham talked about Joe Burrow with us yesterday on the radio show, you know, I was taken aback a little bit. Like, I know he works for the Bengals radio network, but when he said that Joe Burrow was MVP caliber, I kind of did a double take. This was Dave Lapham yesterday.
Yeah, I think that you've hit on something that people kind of take for granted. They make comparisons to Tom Brady, and I can compare him that way from the neck up, and Joe Montana. But Montana had more ability. He was more elusive, evasive than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a statue, and Tom Brady's not somebody that can extend and create plays. One of the most famous plays in 49er history, the pass he threw to Dwight Clark to beat the Dallas Cowboys. it was almost like the pass that, Joe Burrow threw right before he jumped out of bounds and completed a ball to Tyler Boyd that was a big touchdown, in the playoff game against the Raiders. These guys, I compare him more to Joe Montana because he's got that athletic ability to make people miss in a short space. He's got some short space quickness to him. This guy was an all-state point guard in high school. And, he played every sport. His best sport was baseball. And he's just one of those guys. He's got supreme athleticism. And with that said, he's got a tremendous mind for football. I mean, he understands every nuance of his offense and every nuance of what defenses are trying to do to take away his offense, even more importantly. So he's the total package. I mean, he's a very unique, very special football player. And the other thing about him is his preparation. The protocols as such that he goes through for his preparation are second to none. He's one of those guys that's the first in the building, the last to leave. So every other teammate's saying, man, look what Joe's doing. I better up the ante a little bit. If Joe, as great as he is, if Joe's working and prepping this hard, I better step it up.
So I heard that, and my first reaction was, well, that seems a bit ridiculous to say MVP caliber for Joe Burrow. But Lucas, you were arguing with me. You were trying to do the show an hour earlier on the phone today when we were discussing what we were going to talk about for 3 hours today. You were arguing with me that you agree with Dave Lapham?
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is unquestionably an MVP caliber player. Is he the MVP this year? No, of course not. But is he on that trajectory? Absolutely.
Okay, trajectory, MVP is not like a 3-year award. Like, trajectory is all well and good, but we're talking about in 2021 in the regular season, MVP is a regular season award. Among the quarterbacks, I mean, not even just the candidates. Like, I don't know that I would put Joe Burrow, playoff results are what they are, and the way that the Colts collapsed, but, like, there wasn't many points throughout the course of the regular season where I'm saying I value Joe Burrow that much more over Jonathan Taylor. Like, I don't think people are hearing you say that and agreeing with you by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, again, MVP caliber, to me, that is somebody that is capable of winning MVP at some point in his career. And just this year alone, you have the 14 interceptions, 34 touchdowns, 4,600 pass yards, which, by the way, is something a Titans quarterback has never done, eclipsed the 4,000-yard mark in a season. I just look at him and the crop of young receivers he has around him, that connection with Jamar Chase, how that looks like it's going to dominate the AFC North for however many years coming up, and just the core that they have around him, all 25 or younger, too. Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and if they get that offensive line fixed, I truly think Joe Burrow is going to be in that conversation year after year.
Okay, and I don't disagree with you, but like year after year is a totally different conversation than talking about MVP caliber right now. That's what kind of took me aback, and maybe we're having two different conversations. 615-737-1045. You can jump in on the conversation. We're live today and tomorrow from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. We got Dr. C, the good doctor in Brentwood, up next on 1045 The Zone. What you got, Doc?
Yeah. You're the man. I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. Now, we haven't heard this since 1999, 2000, when the Titans had the most talented team in all the NFL. We didn't win 2 Super Bowls. We didn't even win 1 Super Bowl. I have my thoughts as to why that happened. I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. Now, Derrick is back in the tone. He walks out to about 30, 40 yards where everybody in the stadium, even the high-level people, can see him. Then the stadium starts to go wild. At that point, he begins to jog out to the 50-yard line while we're playing Who Let the Dogs Out? Ruh. Who let the dogs out? We haven't heard that since the Freak days. So that's how I think Derrick needs to come out. I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong.
I appreciate you, Doc. Thanks for the call. 615-737-1045. So here's the thing, getting back to the Joe Burrow conversation, people have been calling in all day to talk about what Derrick Henry's reintroduction music should be. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the King comes out to when he takes the field on Saturday. But here's the thing. Joe Burrow is a stud. He's been one of the best young quarterbacks in football this season. Nobody's disputing that. But when you look at the way that the Titans match up well with the Bengals, you look at the way that they're able to get pressure with 4. Jeff Simmons, Harold Landry, Danico Autry, and Bud Dupree. They've gotten 35 sacks 35 sacks this season. It's the second most in the NFL just using four-man pressures. And they've blitzed. These stats are courtesy of Teron Davenport at ESPN. TD says he got them on Twitter from ESPN Stats and Info. So Titans have blitzed 18% of their defensive snaps this season. It's the second least in the NFL. They've gotten those 35 sacks rushing four-man pressures, 35 sacks. It's second best in the league from that standpoint. Rushing 4, dropping 7 into coverage, that's what it's going to take to be able to beat Joe Burrow. As soon as you start having to send extra people to get after the quarterback, that's where you can potentially lose this game. Joe Burrow's QBR drops by 34.6 points when he is blitzed. Or when he's not blitzed. That's a pretty interesting stat, actually. Joe Burrow's QBR drops by 34.6 points when not blitzed this season. Joe Burrow is going to come after the Tennessee Titans on Saturday, and we're going to talk about this explosive offense that the Bengals have. Mina Kimes from ESPN is going to be here with us as well, and we'll break down the matchup in more detail. But you know, if you're driving around right now, if you're out on your lunch break, you need to stop by Scoreboard Bar and Grill. This is going to be a great place for you to watch football this weekend. It's a fantastic place to get some barbecue, to get some hot chicken. This place is so great for watching live sports. They've got live music here on the weekends as well. And, by the way, some breaking news from Scoreboard Bar and Grill, courtesy of Ben Baby, the ESPN Bengals reporter. Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson has been cleared from concussion protocol and will play versus the Tennessee Titans. Coach Zach Taylor has just told Cincinnati media. So appreciate Will Bowling, who's out here on site, giving me that news update. When we come back, we'll talk about this matchup in more detail. I want to get your thoughts on it as well. 615-737-1045. That's the number. Mina Kimes at 11:30. I'm Buck Reising. This is 1045 The Zone. Welcome back, by the way. Buck Reising live with you from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Talking Titans and Bengals. Mina Kimes of ESPN going to join us here in just a second. Lucas, what was the song that you just played? Because people have been calling us all day long, giving recommendations for what Derrick Henry's what's the proper term? Walkout song should be at Nissan Stadium. Which is this song?
This is No Chances by 21 Pilots.
We in or out on this? Kirby Allen is decidedly out on this. He's not. He's over it. He's right. It's too low key. It can't take that long to like heat up. Like when the beat drops, I'm down. But I need it right out the gate. I need the juice, baby.
It's got like ominous vibes.
Well, I mean, do you see what he looks like with that visor on? He looks like that. The Derrick Henry videos that we were tweeting out yesterday from Titans practice, from like that low angle where he's running at you with that blacked out visor on. It feels like the last thing you see before you die. Like I feel like Derrick Henry in those moments is what you see before your life flashes before your eyes and you walk towards the light. So maybe for Bengals defender, you feel similarly. 615-737-1045. That's the number. If you missed the news that we had earlier from Ben Baby, Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson has been cleared from concussion protocol. He will play this Saturday versus the Tennessee Titans. Let's go back to the phones. We got Kirk from Nashville, who's up next. What's up, Kirk?
How you doing, Buck?
I'm doing well, boss.
To give you your flowers. I want to give you your flowers. I've been hard on you in the past. That stretch we went 4-0, and you said we'd go 2-2. I told you we kept our receipt. I want to let you know you said that we have a 2,000-yard rusher and a 1,500-yard offense when Derrick Henry went down.
That's right.
I got to tell you, you was right. We didn't say it at the time, but you did comfort all Titans fans, and you was absolutely on point. I want to say thank you for that. It made the thing a little easier to digest.
Well, I appreciate the words, Kirk. What else you got for me on Derrick?
I think Derrick is going to have a good game this week. They know what's coming. He's been sitting down too long, and that's what the Titans are all about. So we all know what time it is. I just feel sorry for the Bengals. You heard it here first.
I appreciate the call, Kirk. 615-737-1045. That's how you jump in. Yeah, against this Bengals defense that honestly has played well, and they've done well to kind of rebuild everything in Cincinnati over the course of the last couple of years. DJ Reader, their nose tackle, is playing the position as well as anybody. We talked about they'll be without Larry Ogunjobi, the defensive lineman, the interior defensive lineman who's played the most snaps for them all season long. You've got a 4,600-yard passer in Joe Burrow, 1,000-yard rusher in Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, 1,455 yards, 13 touchdowns. This dude is an unholy terror running through your secondary at any given point. And when we talked about this yesterday, basically, and speaking to Shane Bowen about this yesterday, frankly, how explosive the Bengals offense is and what they can do to take advantage of you, kind of, and the Titans coaches weren't going to say this publicly, but kind of that they're going to get their numbers in between the 20s on any given play, right? There's too much star power on the offensive side of the football. But when I asked Shane Bowen yesterday about how well Joe Burrow has done since they last played him, how much he's evolved at playing the position of quarterback, this was the Titans defensive coordinator on what Joe Burrow has done this season.
The time you saw him last year to what you're seeing now.
Yeah, I mean, he made plays on us last year. You see a lot of the same things, him eluding, his ability to extend plays. I think he's instinctive in the pocket, finding some escape lanes. He's elusive. He's tough to bring down in there. So that part of it kind of continues, and I think he's just improved. I mean, he's tops in the league in completion percentage and yards per completion, which is really, really rare, right? Like, usually those high completion guys are a little bit lower in the yards per completion. So for those two things to go hand in hand, I mean, he's got complete control of their offense. I think you see the trust he has in the scheme, the trust he has in his playmakers, and there's really good chemistry between all of them, whether it's Chase and all their time they spent together at LSU carrying forward to Cincinnati. But, I mean, you see the same with Higgins and Boyd, right? and use him, right? Like just the same. So, I mean, he's playing really well. Probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, I think he's up there with the elite guys with what he's doing this year. So he's improved and he's playing really well.
So that's Titans defensive coordinator Shane Bowen speaking with the media yesterday. Buck Reising here with you on 104.5 The Zone. We're broadcasting live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. If you don't have tickets to Nissan Stadium on Saturday, by the way, at 12:15, I've got a pair of tickets that you can win. I'll tell you how you can do that later on in the show. But if you're not going to the game at Nissan on Saturday, you need to be watching it here at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. They'll have the Titans and Bengals game on. They'll have the Packers game on after that. They've got incredible food, great barbecue, fantastic hot chicken, some spectacular cocktails. You got to check out Scoreboard Bar and Grill is the place to be. It's a Nashville staple out here right across the street from the Opryland Hotel. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on this Joe Burrow conversation. And we'll talk about this with Mina Kimes of ESPN in just a few minutes from now. So when you heard that analysis earlier in the hour about, Dave Lapham, Bengals radio analyst, he's saying Joe Burrow is an MVP caliber player this season. And, it was difficult for me to process that in real time because my initial reaction, no, that sounds ridiculous. But you look at Joe Burrow and the context that Shane Bowen just put it in for you, it is really, really hard for a quarterback to lead the league in completion percentage. 70.4% of his passes completed this season, 4,611 yards. He got 34 touchdowns to 14 picks in a 17-game regular season. And he's averaging 8.9 yards per attempt. This dude is out. It's not like he's just taking the checkdowns. It's not the Tua Tagovailoa completion percentage stats that were super hollow when the Titans hosted the Dolphins earlier this year. Joe Burrow is taking shots down the field. He is throwing the ball aggressively down the field. And he's completing 70.4% of his passes throughout the course of the regular season. Now, where he looked to slow down a little bit was in the red zone, where the things kind of stalled out for the Bengals. And we'll talk about that with Mina Kimes here in just a second. But we'll go back to the phones in the meantime. We got Ham in Spring Hill, who's up next, live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. What you got for me, Ham?
Hey, Buck. I have two things. One of them's a favor. But,
okay.
Back, like what you said about the red zone thing, that's what I was going to say. Just based off what I've seen, I don't, watch the Bengals all the time, but it just seems like they're kind of garbage in the red zone. So, if the Titans don't let stuff get over their heads and behind them, in theory, if the Bengals just kick field goals all day, shouldn't we be, straight? And then.
Uh-oh. Does his phone line disappear? Lucas, you zap him? What happened there? Lucas is back there working the phones. All right, I don't know what his favor was, but the Bengals' red zone efficiency is something that he brought up, Ham did in Spring Hill. And you kind of look at the red zone efficiency of the Bengals this year and where things kind of stalled out for them against the Raiders, even though they did get that 26-19 win. Anyway, let's talk about it with Mina Kimes, who is fantastic in her NFL analysis. You can catch her on NFL Live on ESPN, the Mina Kimes podcast with Lenny, her dog, which is exceptional football content. Mina, I appreciate you taking some time.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I want to start with this before we get to the football analysis. How does it feel to be the third best person on Twitter in your own family? That's got to be hard for you.
Lenny's not on Twitter. I don't know. Are you talking about my brother?
I'm talking about Isaac. Isaac kills it. His soccer analysis, it knocks me out.
Well, the local angle, the two of the three do live in Nashville, so I feel like there might be a little bias at play, but I'll take it.
Okay. Let's talk about Joe Burrow, who's been an absolute stud this season. Things in the red zone, though, Mina, did get a little more complicated for them against the Raiders, and it didn't seem like they had – I wonder what you made of Zach Taylor's play calling decisions, because I know in his press conference afterwards he kind of took accountability for that. But what did you see when you watched that tape back?
Yeah, some of the issues that I think have cropped up periodically during the season, but especially earlier in the season before Joe Burrow went on this absolute heater, which is I felt at times that Zach Taylor was a little bit conservative with his play calling in terms of some of the early down runs. When you have a quarterback in Burrow who's fearless, incredibly good at extending plays, and then a wide receiver in Jamar Chase who can beat just about everyone in the NFL. And my feeling is if Cincinnati wants to both win this game but advance further, they need to keep their foot on the gas pedal. Zach Taylor does, because if they turtle up like they did at times, I just don't see them keeping up with Tennessee.
Yeah, especially with this offense. And it's crazy to think about keeping up with Tennessee, Mina, because it's been it's been such a labor for them all season long. But, I mean, we talked about this earlier this week. Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and A.J. Brown have only been on the field together for 120 of their almost 1,300 offensive snaps this season. It's like game planning for a whole new offense.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable and creates a lot of matchup issues for a Bengals defense, as I'm sure you guys have talked about a lot, has injuries on the defensive line, at defensive tackle, Larry Ogunjobi and Mike Daniels going out, their backups as well. Trey Hendrickson, is in concussion protocol. Probably plausible that he would play. That would be that's a massive, massive issue for them. But beyond the defensive line and beyond their ability to defend the run, which has held up remarkably well without Derrick Henry, what I question is how they can handle the Titans' play-action passing attack. That's something that Cincinnati has struggled with all season long, particularly the linebacker position, those deep in-breaking routes that, as you know, Tennessee basically measures in, I think will create some serious issues for the Bengals.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, Mina, that more people don't sit on those in-breaking routes. Like that was one of the wildest things to watch.
It's hard, man. It's hard though, because it's not just the routes and it's not just Tannehill's ability to deliver those super accurate balls under pressure. It's the fact that A.J. Brown and hopefully Julio Jones are so fast and strong. I just don't think that there are many cornerback groups, including Cincinnati, that can handle that level of physicality.
Mina Kimes of ESPN is our guest here on 104.5 The Zone, talking Titans and Bengals ahead of Saturday's divisional round game. So from that point, Mina, what have you made of the offensive play calling on first downs, on early downs specifically for Todd Downing and this offense? Because it's a perpetual frustration for the fan base, how married they are to the run. We understand how this team is constructed and that you have to that there is the generic cliche that you need to set up the run to be able to efficiently execute the play-action pass, which I think has been disproven many times over.
Yeah.
Now that we've gotten smarter about football.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of statistical work showing that you don't need X amount of runs early in a game for the play-action pass to work. You do need, however, to convince opposing defenses that you will run at times and that you have the willingness, capability to do so. But everyone knows that Tennessee can run the ball. Everybody knows that they want to run the ball, and I think it would be a mistake to lean too heavily on that run on early downs, even if there's a matchup advantage there early in the game, solely to quote unquote establish it, ahead of the play action pass. And I think something I'd like to see if I was a Titans fan is Downing mixing it up early on and trying to take advantage of what people perceive his approach to be.
Mina Kimes here with us on 104.5 The Zone. What of all the matchups on the field this coming Saturday, Mina, you obviously have Jamar Chase, who's been an otherworldly talent. You've got T. Higgins, you've got Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzoma, who not just seems to be a spectacular quote based on your colleague Ben Baby's tweets yesterday, but has been a great asset for them as a tight end. When you kind of look at this Bengals offense versus the Titans defense, which matchup are you most excited to watch?
Well, if I'm a Titans fan, I would say Harold Landry versus Isaiah Prince.
He's going to eat.
The Bengals' right tackle is one that can be sort of a game changer. It's a mismatch. Also, not just Harold Landry. Sometimes they'll have Denico Autry on passing downs, as you guys know, outside the tackle as well. And I think if they're able to overload that side, which is the Bengals' weakness, you can create some really, really disadvantageous situations for Joe Burrow. But behind them, as much as we focus on the pass rush, I'm very curious to see what the plan is for Jamar Chase. We have seen many defenses now really collapse when they tried to single him up with anyone. I don't think Tennessee is going to do that, especially since the strength of the unit is safety. And then it turns to, okay, well, so if Jamar Chase is bracketed or if, Fulton or whoever is able to lock him up, Burrow's going to go to Higgins and Boyd. And what is Tennessee's answer there?
That remains to be seen, but we'll certainly find out on Saturday. So elsewhere in the AFC, Mina, a lot of people, Titans fans are driven crazy by a lot of fine folks at Pro Football Focus and by Aaron Schatz at Football Outsiders, because the advanced analytics, they seem to hate the Titans, even if the seeding does not. When you kind of weigh what the metrics tell you and understanding that it's largely a different team than we've seen throughout the course of the season, that the metrics are evaluating throughout the course of the season, when you look at the other side of the bracket, how much more of a game, or how much more exciting is the the Chiefs and the Bills matchup as opposed to this Titans and Bengals game, even though this is the top seed in the AFC here in Nashville?
Yeah, first I'd like to apologize for my dog barking. I guess he doesn't like the advanced metrics being critical of Tennessee either.
No, are you kidding me? This is the highlight of the interview. Respectfully, like Lenny making an appearance is 10 out of 10.
Very loud appearance, I should add. Yeah, so.
Oh, there's a growl too. He's pissed at Aaron Schatz. This is outstanding.
He is not happy about it. So here's what I'll say. Efficiency metrics like DVOA that take into account strength of schedule obviously are reflecting the fact that the AFC South is, terrible. And I think that plays into it.
Yeah.
1 second. Sorry about that. And very professional of me. And I think, what I've seen and what I read about that is not about the Titans being a bad team, just about comparing them to other one seeds that maybe have ran a gauntlet and obviously played with a healthier roster all year long. But playoffs are about matchups. Playoffs are about who's on the roster right now. And frankly, while I don't think the Titans are a dominant one seed, even with their guys.
Sure.
I also think this is a matchup they can win, and they should win. And they've got so many advantages headed into this one. On top of that, we're talking about a Bengals team that'd be the Raiders team that, I guess Pittsburgh aside, was one of the worst teams in the playoffs. So it's not like they're world beaters either, as intimidating as their passing attack is. So anyways, that's kind of where I fall on this. You just got to look at the individual matchups, and I do feel a lot of them are in favor of the Titans.
It's the worst loss of the Titans season that they dropped that game to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because then Pittsburgh made the playoffs by virtue of that win. And we, God love Ben Roethlisberger at this point in his career and all the great things, but no thank you. I've had quite enough of the Pittsburgh Steelers passing game.
I just didn't want to watch that offense anymore.
Yeah, enough. Get it out of our lives. Mina Kimes, I don't want to make you make a game pick if you're doing it on NFL Live later this week. But should we tease that people need to watch NFL Live? Obviously, they're going to watch it anyway. But should we tease specifically the game pick, or are you prepared to do it here and now?
Yeah. No, I can do it here. I mean, we've been, so I talked about the game on my podcast, the Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny, kind of breaking down matchups there. Check it out wherever you get pods. And I did say I picked the Titans on that one, and I'll say going into this, before I did my prep and went back and watched the Titans defense in particular, I was leaning Cincinnati, but we talked a lot about the Titans 4-man rush, and I think they're extremely balanced, extremely versatile, which is going to be huge in this game. But I came away a little bit more impressed with the secondary than I expected. Some of these young corners, I've been in touch with you about the availability of, Elijah Molden, who I really like and I think could be really important in this game because just how much 11 personnel Cincinnati uses with their wide receivers. And I think that they've got a pretty good shot of holding up. I mean, look, no one's going to stop Jamar Chase, or maybe they will, but it's very, very challenging. But I think combined with that 4-man rush, they don't have to blitz. They'll be able to put extra bodies in coverage. It's going to be very challenging for Cincinnati.
Mina Kimes, catch her on NFL Live. You can get the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny, who you heard from as well. Lenny is already receiving much praise on social media right now for his appearance. Mina, I appreciate you, as always, for stopping by. Thanks for making us smarter, and enjoy the football this weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Mina Kimes of ESPN there with us on 104.5 The Zone. All right, when we come back, we'll react to what Mina had to say. She's picking the Titans. We'll talk about it. Coming up next, live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Bar and Grill. Smells fantastic in here. People starting to file in for lunch. Come hang out as well. We're here with you until 1 o'clock today and tomorrow. 615-737-1045. That's the number. How you can jump in. Lucas, people have been submitting intro music for Derrick Henry's return to Nissan Stadium. What is this song that you just played?
This is Fight Fire with Fire from Kansas.
Okay. No, not cutting Kirby Allen. Kirby has given me the gladiator thumbs, Marcus Aurelius thumbs down. Like that's what we've just gotten from Kirby Allen. Kirby. I haven't heard anything that's working for me today. I really haven't.
I liked the Run DMC. That's my favorite so far.
I think it's not equipped for the moment. That's my thing. Like it needs to be appropriate. Now we're talking about a situation that's going to happen once, right? Like Derrick Henry coming back after 12 weeks off with a foot injury, taking the field for the first time as number 22 on January 22nd in the year 2022. This is only going to happen so many times, right? So like to kind of get the right sound for this as we're sitting here on a Thursday at 11:48 a.m. Maybe people aren't quite in the right mindset, but I've been disappointed, frankly, with the selections thus far. 615-737-1045. We got Levi in Lexington, who's up next on 1045 The Zone. What's up, Levi?
What's up, Buck? On the Henry carries, we'll go back to that. I like that caller's earlier, the 22 carries. So I'm going to give him 222 yards to go with that.
222 yards, all right.
And another thing on the intro music, what about Roy Jones Jr. Can't Be Touched? Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
All right, Lucas. You've got your playlist for the rest of the day pretty much at this point. Roy Jones Jr. making an appearance. Here's the thing that I'm curious to know how people are feeling about this game because I'm reading during the commercial break. We just had Mina Kimes on from ESPN. She gave her game pick. She thinks the Titans are going to be able to pull this one off against the Cincinnati Bengals. And by the way, it wouldn't be pulling it off. They're the favorite. They're expected to win. Go out and handle your business. You play for the home field advantage for a reason. Get the job done, just as you did in Week 18 in Houston. But right as I'm getting ready to come back from commercial, I'm reading an article on The Ringer from Steven Ruiz. The Titans are finally healthy, but will that be enough for them to make a run? And how he's teased it for people on social media is, I wrote about the Titans and why it may not matter if they really are the worst number one seed ever. Why is this a necessary qualifier to put out anytime you talk about the Titans? They might be the worst one seed ever, or they may not be the worst one seed ever. And let me tell you why. Like who are you serving by denigrating what this football team has done throughout the course of the season and telling people why they're right or wrong on that particular opinion? Like that kind of analysis I don't necessarily get. But the Titans, they're going to have a difficult test. This is going to be tough for them to get through Cincinnati. It's not going to be a game that's going to be, I don't think it's going to be decided by double digits one way or the other. I think that the Bengals and the Titans both have the offensive firepower to keep pace with one another in this game. Bengals dealing with a few more injuries on defense that may work to the Titans' advantage. But at this point, if it's decided, the line right now on your DraftKings Sportsbook app, promo code WGFX, by the way, if you want to get great offers there. DraftKings Sportsbook has the Titans as 3.5-point favorites. And I would expect probably 3 to 4 points to be the margin of victory between these two teams. I was doing an interview last night, and they made me make a game pick. I haven't done that, I think, since I started covering the Titans. And I said 34-31. I think there's going to be points scored. I think it's going to be close. And I think they're going to make you sweat it out at the end. Paul is in Nashville up next as we broadcast live here from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. What you got, Paul?
Yeah, I got for Derrick Henry's intro music.
Okay.
Thriller.
By Michael Jackson?
Thriller by Michael Jackson, yes.
Okay. I don't hate it. We'll add it to the playlist today. Lucas, you're making a face. Lucas, you're making a face. What's wrong with Thriller?
I don't know. I don't know if I like Thriller.
You don't know if you like Thriller. Is this a Michael Jackson issue?
Try that intro.
Man, he did get injured on Halloween.
Oh.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So there's a little bit of a story. See, now I appreciate Paul in Nashville because he came with a little backstory. Derrick Henry gets injured on Halloween. You're playing the Thriller. He comes out. He's basically a 250-pound rage monster playing the quarterback or the running back position. So I understand there's parts and pieces of that work.
Aria's dad on the YouTube chat says, just play the Purge siren when he comes out.
You trying to get people excited? Trying to send them scramble?
I'm not going to come back to that.
Out
of a break.
I think
send people into a panic.
Think that there are no rules in society right now, and just people start taking.
It is snowing, or it is icy out there.
What does that mean? That means that you could take a chainsaw to your fellow man? No, Lucas, settle down back there. Relax. Joseph in Nashville is next. The thriller call took a very, very unexpected turn. What you got for me, Joseph?
Hey, I got Derrick Henry, 22 carries.
Okay.
I need 2 in the naked formation with him as a quarterback.
Oh, the King Cat? You're calling it the King Cat formation?
The King Sword.
I appreciate. Is Joseph in Nashville eating lunch as he's calling the radio show? I like that. There was some chewing going on. 615-737-1045. I don't know what Derrick Henry's workload is going to look like. I know that it's going to be north of 15 carries at bare minimum. Like Derrick Henry, as we talked about earlier, he's coming to play, and he's coming to play Derrick Henry-style football, regardless if he's 100% healthy or as close to 100% as they are going to get him. When we come back, we'll talk about this in more detail. You'll hear from Mike Vrabel about how they've been watching tape from the last time that they played Cincinnati, which was one of the most catastrophic losses for the Titans in 2020 against a healthy Joe Burrow at the time. You'll hear from the Titans head coach on that. We'll take more of your phone calls as well. We're broadcasting live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. If you're getting in your car for your lunch break, come hang out. It smells fantastic in here. People are starting to get their food. We're going to have some hot chicken before the show is over, and we'll see if I'm able to finish the radio show after trying some hot chicken. It's a great place to watch playoff football, by the way. They're going to have it on all weekend long. Saturday, Titans and Packers after that. They've got the games on Sunday. They've got incredible live music out here. They got one of my favorite local bands, the Spasmatics, who do Sunday Fun Day, 80s and 90s hits. Spasmatics put on a hell of a show, and you can see all of that while you're getting great drinks and food at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Welcome back. Hour number 3 live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill, 104.5 The Zone, broadcasting here until 1 p.m. Today. We'll be out here tomorrow as well. Lucas Panzica, he's making things happen back in the studio. Buck Reising here with you. A lot of people filing in for lunch at Scoreboard, rightfully so. Smells fantastic in here. I saw some plates of hot chicken coming out. Their barbecue is unmatched. Scoreboard Bar and Grill, also a great place to watch the football games this weekend. Titans and Bengals leading things off at 3:30 Central Time on Saturday. You want to jump in on the conversation? You can do that. 615-737-1045. That's the number. Steve Layman of News Channel 5 is going to be here in just a little bit, and we'll talk about that. And I have a pair of Titans and Bengals tickets for you to win at 12:15 today. I'm going to tell you how to do that here in just a little bit. So make sure you're listening up until 12, or at least up until 12:15. We'd appreciate if you listen throughout the course of the day for all the Zone shows. But I got tickets for you at 12:15. The thing that we've been talking about all day long is how Joe Burrow is going to attack this Titans defense at this point. And we've gone through the matchups at great length. We've talked about Derrick Henry, and you've heard from him, given the fact that he spoke to the media yesterday for the first time since October 28th. And when we spoke to Derrick yesterday, the conversation was all about, all right, how have you managed to get through this recovery and rehabilitation process? Derrick Henry, who is we think of him as indestructible. We really do. And so for him to be lost for basically 12 weeks of the NFL calendar is crazy to think about. But when we spoke to Derrick Henry yesterday, Ben Arthur of the Tennessean asked the first question about, what got him through this rehabilitation process. And this was Derrick Henry at the podium meeting with Titans media for the first time in the better part of 2 months yesterday.
No, I love football.
This is just the isolated answer.
I've known since I was 5 years old, and it's what I fell in love with. And it's just the first time something like this has happened. And just adversity, and you just got to overcome it. And thankful for the trainers, my girlfriend who was driving me here 5 weeks straight when I couldn't drive, and everybody that supported me. Titans fans wrote get well letters. I definitely appreciate that, and just having faith in the man above, and just continue to rehab, continue to get healthy, and being able to have this opportunity right here.
That's Derrick Henry meeting with the media yesterday, talking about what's gotten him through his rehabilitation process. Funny thinking about Derrick Henry's girlfriend driving him to practice, driving him to the facility for rehab for 5 straight weeks because he couldn't drive himself. But to think about things with Derrick Henry, he's a kind of a superhuman. You don't think that Derrick Henry is ever going to be, fallible, especially much less to get hurt on a field of play, because we've just not seen it happen that way before. And frankly, I think it's the first time in his career he's had season-ending injuries before in college. I think he was a true freshman when he broke his leg, but at that point he was behind several other talented Alabama running backs on the roster in college. This is the first time where it's felt like this for Derrick, where he has, been on track to repeating as a 2,000-yard rusher. He finished an 18-week regular season schedule, 6th in the NFL in rushing when he had not played a game since October 31st because of the pace that he was on. He's on a contender, and then all of a sudden his regular season is over. 8 weeks in, and he has to sit back and watch the Tennessee Titans advance to the number 1 seed. Now, it's great for the Titans that they were able to do that without Derrick Henry. In fact, it's a tribute to the coaching staff and the players that they brought in that they were able to sustain the loss of their best player. But for Derrick Henry, I have no idea what he's going to look like out there on Saturday. I've seen him at practice. We've all seen the videos coming out on social media that we take and we tweet out and put out on Instagram and things like that for you to look at of Derrick Henry at practice. And in fairness, it's only the first 20 minutes because that's all that's open to the media. But when I think about Derrick Henry being legitimately motivated to overcome adversity for the first time in his career, when he's always been bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic, more physically overwhelming than anybody he's been on a football field with, even in the pros, even at the professional level. I think about that and think that Cincinnati may be in for a bit of a ride come Saturday afternoon at Nissan Stadium. 615-737-1045. You can jump in on the conversation live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. We got Carl, who's in Hillsboro, who wants to weigh in on this Bengals defense. What's up, Carl?
Hey, how's it going, Buck?
Going well.
So here's my question for you, and you'll know this way more than I will. So Trey Hendrickson just got released from concussion protocol, so he's going to be able to play on Saturday. So here's my question to you. And now, he's a fine football player from the stats I looked at just a minute ago on my phone. But here's my question. We have faced how many stellar defensive ends this season? So, yes, he's a good player. You have to count for him. But it's not like we haven't seen these type of guys all season.
Sure.
You know? So my question is like, yes, it stinks that he's there, but honestly, you know, what? So what? We'll just do what we do. Plus, the last time we faced a stellar defensive end, we had our second-round pick jump in at the very last second to play left tackle for us to protect Ryan Tannehill's blind side. So, and we handled that pretty well, I thought. So I just want to get your thoughts on that and just want to hear what you have to say. And tighten up. Let's go.
I appreciate the call, Carl. Thank you. 615-737-1045. So Trey Hendrickson, the stud edge rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals. You saw the ESPN report from Bengals reporter Ben Baby that he is going to be cleared and ready to go for Saturday's game. He's their biggest free agent signing. He leads their team in pressures this year by a substantial amount. He's been great against the run as well. He's really changed a lot about that Bengals defense. But to your point, Carl, I mean, every NFL team, not every NFL team has one of these guys, but, I mean, there's two Bosas. You've seen one of them. You are going to play Trey Hendrickson this upcoming weekend. There are stud defenders all over the NFL. There's always a guy who you're going to have to account for in some form or fashion when you're game planning on offense week to week. And so, you know, you bring up the 49ers game, and you bring up Radens, and listen, what he did was impressive, especially given the fact that we don't know how much they trust him because of his inability to earn snaps over an offensive line, particularly at right tackle in David Quessenberry, where they haven't been that great. They've been much better in the last month of the season, but they haven't been that great. So the Radens thing, and I didn't think he played all that well against the 49ers on Thursday Night Football. What I thought they did well around him, Carl, was I thought Todd Downing had a great protection plan in place to give Dylan Radens adequate help and make sure that Ryan Tannehill could stay upright. Again, credit to Dylan Radens. It's a tough spot for him to have to step in because the first-string left tackle in Taylor Lewan was unavailable on the COVID list. Kendall Lamb was ruled out, you know, a couple of hours before that game. They had to make a decision to play Dylan Radens basically on no notice. And he did what he could, but I thought the offensive coordinator's protection plan, I thought that was well executed as well. Let's go to Jason in Chattanooga who wants to weigh in on Derrick Henry. What's up, Jason?
Well, what started out with 3HL yesterday was the music for the team fans at the stadium like Pittsburgh has Renegade.
Okay, yeah, Brent Doherty just tweeted me that they were trying to find a Nissan Stadium song because everybody knows the Steelers in the fourth quarter. They play Renegade, place goes crazy, terrible towels swinging around. Nashville doesn't really have that, which is crazy because we're Music City. We're literally Music City.
We could go back to Van Halen's Winner Takes All. Or it's the obvious with Derrick Henry's intro music, Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold. And Buck, you will like that one.
Okay. So, Lucas, do you think I'm going to – I know Avenged Sevenfold, and I would say that you may have a different understanding of my musical taste, Jason. But
I don't know. I don't know if that one's up your alley.
I don't know.
It could work.
Well, listen, Lucas has basically been taking requests all day long for people's suggestions. The rock scene, the metal scene, not really my scene, but I get why it gets people going, especially when you're getting ready to watch people get into a car wreck on every play for basically 3.5 hours. I get that. There's some adrenaline there that you associate with heavy rock music and heavy metal music. I get that. Maybe not for me. Randy in Cumberland is next. Cumberland Furnace is next on 104.5 The Zone. Maybe not. We got Jeff in Franklin.
Hey, Buck.
Yeah. Oh, we got Randy?
Hey, yeah, this is me, man.
Okay.
Hey, start embracing it. Embrace the kitty cats, man. I'm the cat daddy of Cumberland Furnace.
Oh.
Just embrace it.
Okay.
The song needs to be something like a Rough Riders anthem, man, because it covers about 50 years worth of people. A 10-year-old up to a 60-year-old has heard that song.
Yeah.
We got to listen to that. Okay?
You know, Randy, I like that. Not just because you're a fellow cat dad. I like that analysis, Randy. I respect that. Thank you for the call. All right, we got some good selections. We're going to get into it with Steve Layman of News Channel 5 coming up next on 104.5 The Zone. And also, if you are caller number 5 right now, the number is 615-737-1045. Again, 615-737-1045. If you're caller number 5, I'll give you a pair of tickets to see the Titans host the Bengals in the divisional round this Saturday, 3:30 Central Time, the kickoff at Nissan Stadium, courtesy of our friends at Kentucky Legend who have made this possible. 615-737-1045. If you're caller number 5, you're going to see Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans take on the Cincinnati Bengals at Nissan Stadium this Saturday. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Lucas, what are you playing for people? We've been taking suggestions for Derrick Henry's intro music at Nissan Stadium when number 22 takes the field. What are we listening to right now?
Yes, one of the most commonly suggested songs, Hail to the King, Avenged Sevenfold.
All right, give me a little more. It doesn't fit to me. It doesn't, like, name-wise, I like it. Too slow. I need it out the gate. Oh, I just knocked the camera off. I'm banging the table too hard. I need it right out the gate. I don't need the ramp up. I don't need the long guitar riff getting me closer to Derrick Henry coming out of the tunnel. I need Derrick Henry. I need juice as soon as he hits that field. We've been taking song recommendations all day long, courtesy of 3HL. They've invaded the show with the suggestion that, or what people are suggesting that should be the new, like, fourth quarter rally song at Nissan Stadium, because they don't really have one this season. Used to be Folsom Prison Blues at Nissan, and they've since kind of, mangled that a little bit in a way that it's not quite as recognizable as it used to be.
I have heard God's Gonna Cut You Down suggested, keeping it on that Johnny Cash thread. I do think that vibes with Derrick Henry.
That's a slow burn. It's a football game. There's going to be almost 70,000 people in the house. I need it out the gate. I love Johnny Cash. You cannot give me Johnny Cash to get me up for a football game. I'm sorry. Steve Layman of News Channel 5 going to join us here in just a minute. We've been talking about how the Bengals are going to attack the Titans all day long. 615-737-1045 is the number. Lucas, who, by the way, won our Bengals-Titans playoff tickets? Who is going to see the divisional round at Nissan Stadium, courtesy of Kentucky legend?
Brett Meeker out of Spring Hill is headed to the game on Saturday. So Congrats, Brett. Appreciate you listening.
Congratulations to
Steve.
Brett Meeker. And we are looking forward to seeing everybody at Nissan Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Steve Layman of News Channel 5 joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Steve, what's up, my guy?
Buck, how you doing?
Man, we're doing good. We're just hanging out. We're getting people ready for this football game. We're out there pregame before every game, Steve, and we know what the pregame environment is like. I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot by asking what you think the song Derrick Henry should come out to at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, what Steve Layman would want to hear to get the crowd going. I don't know if this is me trying to stall for enough time for you to come up with a song. What would Steve Layman suggest?
So I've had about 42 seconds to think about this.
I'm a pro, Steve. I got you for 42 seconds. That's about it.
But the thing that keeps coming to my mind is exit light, enter night for the Bengals. And so maybe go straight Metallica, enter Sandman, enter the King right out of the gate. Kind of get people going that way.
I don't hate it. Again, it takes a long time to warm up Enter Sandman. That's been my only contention. Steve, what do you like about this matchup?
Start it wherever you want to go. Start it wherever you want to go. You can pick it here, Buck.
So this is me with the control of the aux cord. I get to choose where the song starts.
That's exactly right.
I don't dispute this. What do you like about this matchup for Tennessee, Steve?
I like the fact that I think the Titans have proven they can run the football against just about anybody at this point, and I don't think the Bengals are particularly good at stopping the run. And I think whether it's Derrick Henry coming back and looking like the guy he was at the beginning of the season, or it's more of a committee approach, I think the Titans are going to be able to run the football on Saturday afternoon against Cincinnati. And if they can do that and control possession in the game, which they've done just about as well as anybody in the league this year, that goes a long ways to keeping Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase at bay. Sometimes the best defense is an offense that can keep it away. And so if the Titans can run the ball effectively and then get points at the end of those drives, I think that puts them in a very good position against this Bengals offense on Saturday.
Bengals defense giving up an average of 4.3 yards per carry to opposing offenses on the ground this year, something to keep in mind. And again, as we've talked about, Trey Hendrickson is expected and will play according to Bengals head coach Zach Taylor. Larry Ogunjobi is obviously out on injured reserve. They've got a pretty stout defense there in Cincinnati, but has gone through some attrition and, the detriments of playing in the wild card round. Steve, this city's been waiting for an environment like this for a long time as far as football is concerned. We've had the NFL draft. We've killed the Stanley Cup final series here in Nashville. We've had so many great events that Nashville knows how to throw a party for better than, I would argue, almost any other city in the country. You were down on Broadway earlier this week. I know News Channel 5 had the Titans basically pep rally at Redneck Riviera. What was the atmosphere like?
It was amazing considering it was 2:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. All these people got off of work and put on their Titan gear to come down there and hang out to put together a music video and tighten up and get ready for the weekend. And I think you're going to see more and more of that. I mean, I know the Titans are having their official pep rally tomorrow night. I imagine that's going to be a fired up atmosphere there at 6th and Peabody. And of course the game on Saturday. And you're right. I mean, when you think about it, Buck, this is only the 6th home playoff game the Titans have ever had.
Right.
And it's going to be the first one in basically 13 years that will be full capacity. They had a home playoff game last year, but of course, because of COVID, you only had about 14,000 people there inside Nissan Stadium. So as much as it was a playoff game, it really didn't feel like the 2019 run did in the stadiums that we went to on the road. You're going to get that atmosphere Saturday at Nissan Stadium. And I think that's something to look forward to because it's been a long time since Titans fans could truly come together, rally around each other, and be excited in that way about a football game. And now they have a chance. We'll see if the Titans can take advantage of the bye and finally that home field advantage and set themselves up for the AFC Championship game.
Steve Layman, sports anchor at News Channel 5, is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. We're talking about the Titans and the Bengals in the divisional round at Nissan Stadium on Saturday. At Steve Layman is where you can follow him, and you can also hear him on the broadcast of Belmont men's basketball games. Steve kills it with the Belmont gig. Congratulations. Steve, we haven't talked about the basketball thing. It's probably not the place and time to do it, but it's been really cool to hear you crush it on those calls. With Derrick Henry speaking to the media yesterday, one, we've never spoken to a player who's still technically on injured reserve. It's about as good an indication that Derrick Henry is going to go on Saturday, other than Mike Vrabel begrudgingly telling us that Derrick Henry is going to go on Saturday. When I listen to him talk, Steve, it sounded to me like this is the first time in a season, high school, college, professionals, Derrick Henry's been playing football since he's 5 years old. He's always been bigger, faster, and stronger than everybody. This feels like the first time in a season where Derrick Henry has legitimately had to overcome adversity.
I don't know if it's that, Buck, because if you remember a few years ago, we were talking about, is Derrick Henry done as a Titan? You know, like is his NFL career maybe done before it's over because this guy hasn't figured it out at the NFL level yet?
He was on the trading block.
That's hard to believe now because of how great he's been since that moment. But he needed that pep talk from Eddie George in the middle of his second season to ever really get going. And since that point, he's been the best running back in the league, no question about it. But this is a different type of adversity because you're right. He has always been the biggest, fastest, strongest guy on the field. The only pain he's accustomed to is the pain that he's accustomed to doling out on opposing defenses and defenders. And to have this situation after a game, by the way, that he finished and ran for over 100 yards against the Colts, to be told the next morning that you're done probably for the season, I think was something that he's never had to experience before in his life, athletically or personally. And to go through this period, I mean, we heard him talk for the first time since October 28th yesterday, but he hasn't posted to social media. He hasn't done anything. He literally put his head down and went to rehab and went to work and I think realized how much he missed the game that he's loved ever since he was 5 years old. And so I expect we don't know exactly where he'll be physically. I don't expect him to be 100%.
Right.
But I expect a motivated and hungry Derrick Henry the first time he touches the ball.
It's a scary thing if you're a Cincinnati Bengals defender. That's not exactly what you want to hear. Steve Layman here with us breaking down the Titans and the Bengals live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill on 104.5 The Zone. When I look, what do you make of Joe Burrow this year, Steve? Because Lucas and I had a bit of an argument earlier talking about, has he been MVP caliber at the quarterback position this year? I thought it was completely ridiculous given where he is in his career. I think it's an overstatement, even though I think he's been a stud. When you look at Joe Burrow, what do you see?
Well, he's not an MVP yet at this point of his career, but he is, Buck, I think a guy that you have to now put in the upper echelon of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When we were at that game last year in Cincinnati, it was a one-win Bengals team against a Titans team that was 5-1 and had no business being on the field with that Tennessee team. But Joe Burrow led them to victory that day and looked like an absolute stud given the garbage that was around him, frankly, in terms of that roster at the time. And I remembered watching the game thinking, if this guy ever gets some talent around him, this Bengals team is going to be pretty good. And I'm surprised it's happened as quickly as it's done. I know he's not. He said the other day he actually expected to be in this position last year as a rookie, but they've improved that offensive line just a little bit. Mixon's been good in the backfield, and obviously you add Jamar Chase to Higgins and Boyd, and now all of a sudden you got a trio of wide receivers who can really produce. The Chase dynamic, the fact they go back to LSU and get along together so well, they consider each other brothers at this point. Jamar Chase said that certainly has added an explosive dynamic to their passing game, and this season he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, he has been phenomenal.
Top quarterbacks in the league.
In fact, Lucas, can we hear Mike Vrabel talk about about watching back that 2020 Titans and Bengals game? Mike, I thought, gave some pretty good analysis when he spoke to us, Steve, on Tuesday. This was the Titans head coach talking about, going back and watching some of the film, or at least watching some of Joe Burrow to try and get ready for this week's opponent.
Oh, God. There's enough to make you puke. I mean, we could watch it, but it wasn't very good. I mean, we just, we have to be better in all three phases. But I think you look at it, I mean, you have to watch. Conceptually, I think it's, there's some similarities, things that we'll have to do much, much better.
Mike Vrabel talking about the last time the Titans played the Cincinnati Bengals, where they lost to, at the time, a one-win Bengals team. Steve, that Monday they got rid of Vic Beasley. They got rid of Jonathan Joseph. It was as close to a Black Monday as the Titans had in season. And just how far this defense has come under Shane Bowen and Mike Vrabel with the way that they changed the personnel. How much credit do we need to be giving Shane Bowen after the season has concluded and to see the leaps and bounds that they've made?
I mean, both Bowen and Vrabel, I think, have to get a ton of credit because sitting there that day, I wanted to lose my lunch too.
So bad on third
Titans
down.
Defense. And you're right. They had all those guys that they let go the next day. And ever since then, the defense has gotten progressively better. But specifically this year, the pass rush is much better. I think Danico Autry is the most underrated addition the Titans have had in a long time.
Yep.
He stepped in right in week one and made a huge impact with Jeff Simmons up front. Now you get Bud Dupree healthy at the end of the year. That helps your pass rush out. The linebackers have been better no matter who's been on the field, and I think Zach Cunningham is a miraculous late-season pickup considering he led the league in tackles last year. And then the back end has been solidified with the addition of Jackrabbit Jenkins and then Christian Fulton being healthy this year and obviously Kevin Byard playing like an all-pro. It is a much better defense. They communicate much better. I think they understand exactly what Mike Vrabel and Shane Bowen want them to do, and they've gone. The numbers are amazing. 28th in the league last year, top 12 this year, top 6 in scoring defense, and number 2 against the run. And if they can slow Mixon down and make the Bengals truly one-dimensional on Saturday, obviously that will go a long way to letting them pin the ears back and get after Joe Burrow. He's been sacked 55 times this year. And hopefully it will allow the back end to try to make some plays as well.
Steve, we had this conversation earlier in the week about which individual player. I understand that individual players can't outright win a game by themselves, or at least it's very, very difficult to in the NFL. But when you kind of look at, Derrick Henry's eminent return, when you look at the Julio Jones experiment and how much of that is going to be judged based off of how this postseason goes, Ryan Tannehill, which player do you kind of look at and say this individual is under the most pressure to perform against the Bengals this Saturday?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I guess if you're going to ask me that, I'm going to say Christian Fulton against his old buddy from Metairie, Louisiana, Jamar Chase, because I think he's going to get that assignment most of the day, given how much they know each other. And the thing that the Titans just can't afford to have happen is for Chase to go for like 170 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in the game, and the big play factor. But I actually think when I look at this game, I look at the battle of the trenches because I think that's where the Titans are just flat out better. And so I want to think about guys like Roger Saffold and Jeff Simmons on the two sides of the ball. If those two guys play well and the Titans win up the middle on the offensive line and are able to run the ball effectively like we talked off the start of the interview, and Simmons is able to clog up the run game and impact Burrow up the middle where he's not able to step into the pocket and into his throws, the Titans win this game. So those two guys, to me, are the guys that can set the tone for the Titans in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
You want to make a game pick? You feeling froggy?
I mean, I guess I'm supposed to save that for our special tomorrow.
Oh, okay. No. Let's tease it. Let's not give it all away here. This is completely fine. Mina Kimes gave us the goods, Steve. It's okay. If you want to hold out, that's fine.
What did she go with?
She went Titans.
Okay. Well, I do think that this Titans team is as well positioned as any to take advantage of the home field and the bye and have the first ever AFC Championship game here in Nashville next week. So I'll say that. But I'll save the official prediction for Road to the Championship tomorrow night, 6:30 on News Channel 5.
Ah, look at him. He's a professional. Steve Layman, sports anchor at News Channel 5, kind enough to give us some of his time on this Thursday. Steve, I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you at Nissan Stadium.
All right, sounds good, Buck. Have a good week.
Steve Layman there with us on 104.5 The Zone. All right, last call for phone calls coming up. Apparently, we're going to try some Scoreboard Bar and Grill hot chicken and see if I can survive it on the air. I think that sounds like a fun experiment, especially since you can watch me on Zone TV, where we're broadcasting YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. That's coming up next, as well as the wrap-up on the poll questions. I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
How excited is Nashville about
Last segment here live from Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Excited to check out the hot chicken. They're bringing it over. Kirby Allen. Kirby apparently has done this before. He's gone full nuclear mode with the hot chicken when it basically the hottest of the hot. What is it? No, you're not doing it today. I'm not putting you through that today, Kirby. It's okay. You're gonna make it. Last call for phone calls before we get out of here. 615-737-1045. That's the number. We got Kyler in Nashville who's up next. What's up, Kyler?
Hey, Buck. Hey, I was just calling in. I just wanted to throw my option there for the Derrick Henry walkout song. So I would like to suggest Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J.
Okay.
Right off the rip. Just don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years.
That's right. That's it. Listen, there's again, I like when people bring not just the song selection, but the story behind it, why they want the music. I don't hate that. 615-737-1045. My thing, they've done well to improve the atmosphere at Nissan Stadium, and it's going to be tough to match playoff football, divisional round. One of the best quarterbacks in the sport coming in to try and take your stuff. Derrick Henry's return, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, they're healthy. Get it out there, let it rip. It's going to be a really, really difficult game, I think. I think it's not going to be it's not an opponent that you can walk over. And by the way, whatever awaits you, if you make it through to the other side, because we haven't talked about God mode Josh Allen and super efficient Patrick Mahomes now that they've reined in some of his not great tendencies as far as what his efficiency was at the start of the year and how much better he's gotten and how much better he looked in that playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's made a lot of progress throughout the course of the year. So if you do make it through the divisional round, what awaits you on the other side, that's not going to be any kind of an easy task. But you do feel good about what you have. Do feel good about the fact that your team is as healthy as it's ever been. You feel good about the idea that Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and A.J. Brown, there's not a lot of tape out there for the Bengals to study of those guys together on the field because of the way that injuries and COVID and different kinds of things have pulled parts and pieces out of the lineup. And at this point, you're about as well equipped to handle a task like this as any team in professional football. And by the way, the Titans are different than any other team in this side of the bracket. Bills don't run the ball. I mean, they've tried to find ways to be more dedicated to running the football, but a lot of their offense depends on Josh Allen's ability to produce. Kansas City is trying to find different ways, but they're not going to hand the ball off 15 to 20 times in a game unless something has gone wrong. That's just not how they're equipped, even though their offensive line is built to do that. Cincinnati's probably the closest that you can get to a team that kind of orchestrates themselves like the Titans, but their running game is not efficient. Or really, it's not been efficient since about the midway point of the NFL season. In fact, that regular season game that they played against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Scoreboard Bar and Grill hot chicken has just arrived. It looks fantastic. I'm going to wait until I'm almost done before I try this on air to see if I can make it through the rest of the segment. Thank you very much for that. But as far as the Titans are concerned, they're constructed differently than a lot of football teams at this point. And that is going to be their greatest advantage moving forward. All right, Lucas Panziga, he's back in the studios. We're going to do the poll questions. Lucas, if I can't do the polls because of the hot chicken, how are you going to handle this? Because this is very much a fly by the seat of our pants type of situation.
I mean, I'll do the polls. I don't think you can handle hot chicken. I think you should wait for after the show. Someone in the chat says Buck looks like Sprite is too spicy for him.
They're not wrong. We're going to give it a try. All right, I got the pickle. I got the hot chicken. What level of hot is this? Do we know specifically?
It is Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
Oh, God.
It sounds like a terrible idea.
Sounds delicious.
And I'm sure it's going to be, but, Godspeed. Here we go. All right, we're doing this on the air. Oh, Lucas, I'm not going to be able to finish the show.
Oh, my God.
I'm not going to be able to finish the show. It's really, really good. But, oh, yeah. Go ahead and hit the music. I'm not going to be able to do it.
It's like, hey, Scoob, stop the count. Stop the count. Yeah. The polls have closed. The votes are in. It's time for a poll update, Scoob. A Pro update. Yeah. Zoink Scoop. Here's Buck Reising Show daily correspondent Lucas Panzica. Lucas Panzica. Yeah.
How you doing? You good?
I'm hiccuping. You got to keep going.
How many carries should Derrick Henry get Saturday? 5, 10, 15, or run the damn ball? 76% of almost 1,000 votes say run the damn ball. 20% say 15, 4% say 10, 0% say 5.
If you're watching on Zone TV, I'm literally in tears right now, and I'm not going to be able to finish. Keep going, Lucas.
Is Joe Burrow an MVP caliber player? 65% agree with me and are correct when they say yes.
I think you're ridiculous, but, we can take that up on a later date.
It's not, is he the MVP this year? Because of course he's not. Is he an MVP caliber player? And by saying no, you're saying that Joe Burrow can never win MVP.
What else?
It's just,
you don't get to laugh at me. There's plenty of people here laughing at me right now, right?
Lucas
This is tough.
drunk for thinking Joe Burrow is going to be a bleeping Hall of Famer? 64% say no.
That was a legitimate quote. Lucas got on the phone this morning and told me that Joe Burrow is going to be a bleeping Hall of Famer, except he didn't bleep himself. Much like I'm trying to keep myself from saying something not FCC safe because of the Hiroshima hot chicken here at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Do you know how tough that sentence was?
It sounds delicious. You know how jealous I am? I have like a prosciutto sandwich here next to me that isn't going to be close to as good as Hiroshima.
Oh, don't worry.
hot
I'm
chicken.
bringing this stuff home for you, bud.
Oh, good. What was the bigger talking point out of Titans practice yesterday? Henry speaking to media or Buck's Drake tracksuit? For the first time ever in the history of the Buck Reising Show, split down the middle, 50-50.
It's just not true. You're a liar. We've had 50-50 polls before. But, yeah, that tracksuit, we're calling it In My Feelings Football for Drake. That received tremendous applause on social media. Not a bigger deal, though, than Derrick Henry.
What would the title of Buck's album be? David says Hard Knocks, the Buck Reising EP. I like that. George says Straight Outta Evil. I guess a nod to your hometown of Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah, Straight Outta Evil would be a good one. Man, I can't get over it. We got the hiccups to stop on live radio, but my tongue is on fire right now.
I do that too. I hiccup when I eat really spicy foods.
Oh my God. When it first hit my mouth, it tastes fantastic, but the afterburn.
So good. Once it hits your lips, it's so good.
I don't know what that means, but it gets the people going.
Old school? Come on. Goody says, if your album is called anything other than I Hate It Here, you fail at life.
It's true. It's true. Now, I'll tell you where I don't hate it. I love it at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. We're going to be out here doing the show tomorrow. This is where you need to be watching football. Their hot chicken is fantastic. If you're feeling a little adventurous, you can do what I did with the Hiroshima. I'm bringing this back for Lucas. We've got carry-out boxes. I'm going to hope that it doesn't melt through the carry-out box before I get back to the studio. Oh, no, it's done. I gotta come back and drop off the Titans radio credentials anyway, so you're getting hot chicken one way or another. Those the polls?
Those are the polls.
All right, those are the polls. We got to get out of here because I'm physically in tears. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to come back, do this tomorrow at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. We got Coach Dave McGinnis at Titans Radio. We got Evan Washburn, who's going to be on the sidelines for CBS on the call between the Titans and the Bengals. I'll talk to you tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone.